Right, welcome to Geometry A, Unit 4, Lesson 5. We're looking now at transformations or translations and reflections and rotations, etc. on functions. There are changes we can make to functions themselves, but I want to do a little bit of review to connect things. You recall to do an x-axis reflection, I think of A prime as being 1 unit above and 1 unit below, B being 7 units above, 2, 4, 6, 7, to B prime being 7 units below, and C being 2 units above to C prime being 2 units below. Okay, resulting in an x-axis reflection, and that this is achieved by taking the coordinates and changing the signs on just the y's. So all the positive y's become negative, all the negative y's become positive. Okay? Or A became A prime, which was -2, -1. B became B prime, which is 5, -7. C became C prime, which is 6, -2. Or in transformation notation, xy became x negative y. Okay. Now I want to take a look at a function. So let me bring up Desmos. I'm going to use a graphing calculator, and you can use desmos.com/calculator as well. This is the graph of f of x equals x squared minus 2x plus 3. You can think of that as f of x, or you can think of it as y. Either way it works. Okay? And remember, to do an x-axis reflection, we change the sign on y. So I can literally do this. I can type -y equals x squared minus 2x plus 3. Okay? And you'll notice, because I changed the sign on y but not x, it is now reflected across the line. Now, if you're asked for an equation whose function is this, this is not the form we're going to leave it in. Let me go to a screen here. Yeah. Let's go to a blank screen here. Okay, so we have y equals -y equals x squared minus 2x. -y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3 plus 3. And basically, to get rid of the negative on the y, think of multiplying through by a -1. In reality, what it ends up doing is changing all the signs. -1, -1. Negative y becomes positive y. X squared becomes negative x squared. Negative 2x becomes 2x. 3 becomes -3. So the resulting function is actually y equals -x squared plus 2x minus 3. And let me show you that over here. If I retype this as y equals -x squared plus 2x minus 3, that's the same thing as changing the signs on all the y's. So just multiplying through by a negative, or think of changing the signs on every term, and you get an x-axis reflection, right, by changing the signs on y. Now let's go to our x-axis reflection. Or y-axis reflection. That was an x-axis reflection. Y-axis reflection. For a y-axis reflection, recall that we change the sign on x. So a y-axis reflection, change the sign on x. So it becomes -x, positive y. So we change the signs on all the x's. So here's what I do in Desmos. I can do this. I can replace all the x's with parentheses. Y equals x squared minus 2x plus 3, and replace all the x's. Replace all the x's with negative x's. Negative x squared, negative 2 times negative x. And look at that. We get a horizontal flip across the y-axis. Or the book had you hold your hand open and reflect it that way. Okay? So it's a reflection or a flip across the y-axis. Now, negative x squared. Let's think about this for a second. Let's take the function y equals negative x squared. Okay, minus 2 times negative x plus 3. A negative times a negative. Negative x squared means negative x times negative x, or positive x squared. So this is just positive x squared. Negative 2 times negative x is plus 2x, and then plus 3. So compare that to the original, which was y equals x squared minus 2x plus 3. And look at what has changed. The x squared did not change. The negative 2x did change, and the 3 did not change. Basically, when you raise a negative number to an odd power, you make it positive. Okay? And so it will look like that. So let's do another example here, x-axis and y-axis reflection. On a cubic here. Let's do y equals x cubed, let's see, plus 2x squared minus 3x minus 4. There we go. Okay. So for an x-axis reflection, I can think of negative y equals x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3x minus 4. Notice that flipped vertically, but we don't write it that way. We don't just put the negative on the y. We multiply through by a negative 1 so that we have y equals. So y equals negative x cubed minus 2x squared plus, come on, I keep fat fingering, x squared minus plus 4, and we get, whoops, 2x squared, plus 3x plus 4. There we go. There's our x-axis, x-axis reflection. By changing the sign on the y, but really multiplying the negative 1 through everything. Okay, and then I get an x-axis reflection, or y-axis reflection, by changing the sign on the x's. So I think of negative x to the third, which is negative x cubed, because it's an odd power, plus 2 times negative x squared, and negative x times negative x is positive x squared. So this is plus 2x squared. So notice the sign changed on the cube because it's an odd power. Didn't change on the 2 because it's an even power. And if I replace x with negative x times negative 3 is plus 3x, odd power. And then minus 4 doesn't change. And you can see these are flipped horizontally right across the x-axis. Okay, we can do this with linear equations as well. Okay, linear equations, y equals, say, 2/3 x minus 3. Okay, for a y-axis reflection, change the sign on the x, so y equals negative 2/3 x minus 3. Okay, notice they both go through negative 3 for a y-axis reflection. For an x-axis reflection, change the sign on y, which means multiply through by a negative 1. Negative 2/3 x plus 3. And that is an x-axis reflection. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense or that helps.